Here's how witching hour at 4 o'clock. This will be the regular meeting of the Board of Directors of the Toyota Falls Water District, August 28th, 2024, at 4 p.m. This meeting may be viewed on the district's website at www.toyotafallswater.net. The board reserves the right to discuss only or take action on any item on the agenda. Please make sure your cell phones are off in advance. There's a jar around here someplace with a quarter. Okay. Call to order and roll call, Cindy.
Director Arthur? Director Coghill?
Here.
Director Leeser?
Here.
And Directors Carol Giannini and Amy Woods are absent.
Okay. Gentlemen, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? We always pick on the public, so. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you, David. All right. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? There. Okay. Public comment. Please complete a request to be heard form prior to the start of the meeting. The public may address the board meeting for 3 minutes on district-related matters. Government code prohibits the board from taking action on matters that are not on the agenda. However, the board may refer the matters for future consideration. Are there any public comments, Cindy?
There are none.
Okay, thank you. First up on the agenda is legislative affairs update.
Good afternoon, board members. Today before you is our legislative affairs update, and making the presentation is Yasmin Ubandi with Ortega Strategies, the Community Water Systems Alliance, and everything else that Yasmin does for the different organizations. So, Yasmin?
She does a good job at it too.
Thanks, Matt. Thank you, board members. Thanks for the introduction. It's always great to come out here and see you guys in person. It's been a little while, so I'm glad I could be here today to make this for you in person. I'm going to start off with the legislative updates. So the bills that we're kind of tracking, it's kind of the end of the cycle right now. So the legislature operates in 2-year cycles. We're coming to the end of our 2-year cycle, so we're going to come up on our next 2-year cycle, but a lot of bills are sunsetting right now. A lot of them are dying in committees, not moving forward. Probably we'll see them as topics again next year, but for now, we're pretty happy with where our bills have landed. You know, we're expecting to see a lot of them come back next year that didn't move forward. Actually, Friday is the last day for any bills to move forward. So if there's anything that changes, I'll let Matt know, but most of our bills have already been decided on. The first one I'm going to bring up actually is one, Bob, I know that you're interested in, is 1255. This is SB 1255 by Senator Durazo.
Yes, ma'am.
This is a public water systems needs analysis water rate assistance program. Basically, this bill would require any water district to provide a 20% bill credit to low-income customers. And the way to pay for this bill is by having all customers that are not low income are automatically opted into a fee on their water bill. So instead of them choosing to opt into it, they're automatically on, like it's already a fee that's included on their bill, and they have to actively opt out of it to not pay the fee. Obviously, this is problematic for a number of reasons. First of all, if you live in a disadvantaged community that's primarily disadvantaged, who's paying for this, right? If everybody qualifies for a low income bill credit, then who are the people who are going to be contributing to this fund? So that's one of the major issues we took with this bill. And the second one is the opt-in versus opt-out provision. So we think it's more fair and more transparent for customers to opt into the fee versus opting out of a fee. I think there's a lot more miscommunication that can happen, and people can do their due diligence, informing everybody. But at the end of the day, if you notice, $5 extra tacked onto your water bill and you don't necessarily understand what that is, you're going to be upset about it, and rightfully so. So it also can run up into some Prop 218 issues that we've been considering. So we actually submitted as CWSA a oppose unless amended position, because we do support the creation of a lower income rate assistance fund. This is just not the way to do it, in our opinion, and alongside many other water districts. So it's not just us. And thankfully, it did die. So it's not moving forward. The form that it's in now, it didn't make it out of appropriations, so we don't have to worry about it for the rest of the year, which is good news. We do expect it to come back next year in some form or another, just because it is a huge focus of the water board. It is a huge focus of, rising costs in California are always going to be a big focus of legislators. So that's kind of where we're at with that. Do you have any further questions on this bill?
Thank you.
Of course, no problem. That was our big contentious one this year. So the rest of them I can go through quickly, and if you have any further questions, I'm happy to explain further. The next one we supported with amendments was the bond bill that made it onto the ballot this year. So it's going to be seen this November on the ballot. It's a $10 billion bond bill that's for safe drinking water, wildfire prevention, drought preparedness, and clean air. This includes $3.8 billion for safe drinking water, drought, flood, and water resilience programs. This is a particular interest of 29 Palms because this is kind of the only avenue we have right now to get funding for Chromium-6 compliance. So there is $610 million going to the state water board for water quality and safe drinking water to give out to water systems. So we're hoping that that becomes an avenue for compliance if the Chromium-6 MCL stands. And then there's another $75 million that would be allocated to increasing water conservation programs, which is another one that we are going to keep an eye on because the Making Conservation a California Way of Life regulations have also passed. So these are two things we're hoping, if the bond does pass, that we can actually access these funds to set up some programs for this area. Another one that we did support, this one did not move forward, but it was extending deadlines for compliance with the hexavalent chromium MCL in this area. There was a couple of issues with the bill, so the author pulled it, but we're hoping that we can convince him to bring it back next year. It was focused on disadvantaged communities, getting a few extra years to come into compliance with that MCL. A couple more related to water conservation. Some of them extended deadlines for the water conservation regulations for systems that were going to struggle to meet them. And then another one actually was going to ask DWR, the Department of Water Resources, to do some extra research, collecting data on how much water is actually saved from water efficient landscapes and kind of codify that so that way they can more inform the regulation. So both of those did not move forward this year because of just the timing of the year, not necessarily because there wasn't interest. So we think those are going to come back next year as well. That's pretty much it I have for bills. Is there any of those you want me to explain further or have any questions on?
Gentlemen?
None. I'm with you, though. I think it's crooked that they do the opt-in, opt-out thing.
Yeah,
It's like
I think,
it's kind of like a protest vote.
right?
If you object to it,
We all
protest.
thought the same thing when we first read the bill.
It's
so.
just crooked.
You're
Yeah.
being voluntold, not volunteered.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, and then kind of piggybacking off of the legislative stuff, we did have a Water Action Day back in April. Matt was up there in Sacramento with Community Water Systems Alliance. We partnered with Cal Mutuals and the American Water Works Association to go and meet with legislators and advocate for a number of issues, mostly focused on affordability, feasibility, compliance, reporting, everything that the Alliance stands for. And the biggest thing that came out of that, moving into regulations, is that we got to physically make oral comment at the water board hearing where they adopted the hexavalent chromium MCL. So I know Matt got up there and made comments directly to the board, which is always an awesome thing to do, I think. Seeing the systems themselves, the general managers, the faces of the people who are being affected is always going to be the most effective way to get your point across. And there was a lot of, we were able to get a lot of the high desert districts out to make comment, which was really great. They did pass the MCL. It's set at 10 parts per billion. That comes with its own set of challenges. I know I've provided you guys with a primer before, kind of breaking that down and going more in depth. They didn't change it much since then, so that was pretty much what they've adopted and what they've stuck with. There is some more action being taken on that, and I don't know, Matt, if you've talked about the legal review or not, but...
I have not.
Okay.
Not yet, no.
Okay, no worries, then I'm going to leave that up to you.
Yeah.
Especially because I think that's a little bit out of my subject matter. We did submit a total of 4 comment letters and made 3 instances of oral comments to the water board throughout the whole rulemaking of this this regulation. So we really tried to put 29 Palms' voice out there and advocate for what the community needs, mostly focused on access to resources, access to funding, and just a little bit more of an equitable way of looking at the MCL, in hopes of that anyways. The other one that passed just this past year was the Making Conservation a California Way of Life regulations. Those passed on July 3rd of this year. Those were very long, very drawn out, and very contentious. We submitted a total of 3 comment letters and provided oral comments at 3 of the water board hearings for that as well. Those ones were substantially revised before they were adopted. So we landed in a much better place than when we started out on. It still will be a challenge. And the water board members have acknowledged that implementation is going to be huge, especially for communities like 29 Palms. That's my update. If you have any further questions, I'm happy to answer or explain anything further.
I have one question. It may not be exactly related to the topics you've been talking about, but I read in the Aqua letter, the publications that we get, quite a while back, that they were going to start temporary constructions of covers going over the canals that have the water coming to the different areas for conservation purposes, so that the water doesn't evaporate as much because it'll be covered. Has there been any more talk about that that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of. I think I was looped into the same communication that you had on that, so I probably know just about as much as you do. I'm not very close with that issue, unfortunately.
I mean, I know it's going to cost money to do that, but is the juice going to be worth the squeeze? Don't know.
It's always hard to say.
Yeah. Thank you.
No worries.
With no other comments, I'd just like to add, especially about legislative, Yasmin does a lot for 29 Palms and is our voice, and trust me, when I say she does a lot, I appreciate the work that she does behind the scenes.
Yes.
But I do, our name is out at the water board. Board member Firestone and the chair have Joaquin Escobar have talked directly about 29 Palms and the things that we do here as a disadvantaged community. So again, I think our voice is being heard with the Community Water Systems Alliance and Ortega Strategies. That is very important to stay on these legislative topics. So I just want to thank them here at this board meeting for giving this update, but also the things that they do behind the scenes that we don't always know, including myself when Yasmin is saying, hey, your letter got submitted, and we're reviewing letters maybe last minute or close to. She and their group are amazing. So I just wanted to throw that out there and thank them.
Thank you, Denver. All right. Item 2, approval of amendment to the master service agreement between 29 Palms Water District and Kennedy Jenks Consulting. John Ryder?
Good afternoon. So back in January, the district and Kennedy Jenks signed into a master service agreement for engineering services. The district has reached out to the consultant, KJ, to ask about a GeoTracker website. So recently, we've been getting a lot of messages from things that are going on the military base, and we're included because we're 29 Palms right next to the military base, and it affects the aquifer. Some of the GeoTracker website is very confusing, and because KJ helps us already get some of our big reports on the tracker, I reached out and presented them with some emails from the base and the GeoTracker, and how can they help us? How can they help us navigate that website? So today before you is an amendment to the contract, that master service agreement. One was the GeoTracker asking for some engineering and consulting services. The other one is actually in the CIP budget this year. It is the 2024 groundwater master plan. There was already funds allocated for it, but again, it was never in KJ's service agreement. So bringing that back in this service agreement were those 2 items, the $25K to not exceed on the GeoTracker, and then the $45,000 on the 2024 groundwater management plan. And again, I just want to open it for open discussion to see if you guys have any of this.
Michael?
This is just a change to what we've already done, so we don't have to do
Right, so we've done a 3-year, $150,000 contract, and there was things specified. KJ just wanted to make sure that if we were gonna do these extra things, next year, another item that will come up is the urban water plan, and if KJ does do that as well, we'll have another amendment to the contract.
Okay.
This year, we're amending the contract from 150 to 220, I believe. Yeah,
Yes.
220,000. And those other services are when we reach out to them and say, hey, we need some help. So it's not, the groundwater master plan, or the groundwater management plan is something that we were already in our budget for CIP. So really, the addition is the 25,000 for the GeoTracker website.
And it's a one-time charge, not annual,
And not even that, it's as we use them.
as we use it.
So initially for, they will bring us a report on, and they'll do up to 2 calls on the GeoTracker, and then as we need them, I'll have 25,000 to use at our discrepancy, and the 45,000 would be a one-time deal, correct?
Randy?
Nope, you answered my questions.
Answered mine too. So staff is making a recommendation that we accept Kennedy Jenks amendment. Need a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Roll call vote. Cindy, please.
Director Arthur,
Yay.
Director Cosmo,
Yes.
Director Leeser,
Yes.
and Director Giannini and Director Woods are absent.
All right. Thank you for that, Matt.
Thank you, guys.
Item number 3 brings us to the consent calendar. Matters under the consent calendar are to be considered routine and will be enacted on in a single motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless the board, staff, or the public request specific items to be removed for separate discussion and action before the board votes on the motion to adopt. So we need a motion and a second for the consent calendar. To adopt.
Make a motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded for the consent calendar. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Oh, and I should say that those are the minutes of the last regular meeting held on July 24th, and also the current audit list. Item number 4, there are no items to be removed from the consent calendar. Item number 5, management reports. 5.1, maintenance. Guess who's up first?
Good evening, Board of Directors.
I'm
The
up.
Operation and Maintenance Department performed the following tasks during the month of July. Responded to 97 USAs. We had 4 leak audits, 32 shut-offs, 622 total completed work orders, exercised 122 valves, replaced 6 customer gate valves. We had 2 mainline leaks. And move on to past due and total shut-off for July. There were 1,246 past due bills. Mailed in May, totaled $6,730 in penalty fees. And if the board has any questions, I'd be glad to answer.
Wow.
How did the replacement on the, I believe we were replacing a pipe over there off Utah, how'd that go?
That went very well. I appreciate the treatment plant guys, both, we worked together hard, and Matt actually helped us out too, because that was a big job. We had to shut off almost a half-mile pipe. So then you drain it, I believe it was like roughly 32,000 gallons of water, and we had to go back up. So it worked out very well. We got back online the following Monday. We got it, got the treatment plant back up and running. Thank you, Robert, his crew, and Matt coming out and helping us.
So that was the main tie into the treatment plant that we dug up and had an issue with. So that was a tough repair on 12-inch, adding valves, cutting in a sleeve. I think the section that we cut in was about 12 foot of 12-inch pipe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
We were out there a couple days, I noticed.
yeah, we were out there for a while. Yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you, Mike. 5.2, water quality. Robert?
Water quality for July 2024, chlorine level in the distribution system averaged at 0.43 mgl. Bacteria samples, we took 50 routine samples throughout the distribution system, all tested absent. Fluoride samples, we had 15 samples that we take from established test points, and the average being at 1.24 mgl. Water production, we were up compared to a year ago 2%, but compared to 2013, we were down almost 14%.
Okay, and finance report, are you gonna be Cindy tonight?
Cindy is not with us, and we were at the end of fiscal year for 2 months, so she will come back next month with the full financials of fiscal year 22-23. So nothing to report today on finance.
Okay, which brings us to 5-4, the general manager. Matt?
So I just wanted to, for the month, district staff completed mainline extensions created by the storm. We had that 8-inch blowout. Replaced about 200 feet of 8-inch pipe, and then we still had about a 660-foot run of 6-inch pipe that we installed. We found some old failing 2 and 4-inch and made a decision that we had to get it fixed in the system. Crews did that very quick and with no issues, back tees passed, so just wanted to thank staff for that, Mike included, and running in the meantime what we do every month to then throw those 2 major projects, including the repair down at Adobe from the storm. So again, staff is amazing to do what we do with at times short staff, and bringing in Rob Screw to help as our second staff is always something that we've done well here. Web Engineering is working on the completion of the primary designer report for the redundant reservoir and the redundant booster station. So right now we're in the question stages. Our engineer that's helping us with that project has come back with about 60 questions that he wants answered, just in the initial design. So that project is moving forward. Well 14, the emergency repairs that you guys approved has been installed and is test pumping as we speak. Getting ready to pull a sample Wednesday to put back online. So well 14, again, testament to the treatment plant and what we do. The treatment plant was able to juggle water where we had to, while well 14 was down during the summer for a couple months. And we should have that back up and going hopefully by next week once the vaccine passes. The booster station at the treatment plant that you guys approved the emergency funds for the motor has been set. We're jumping from one motor to the other. There's a lot of times where you guys approve things and I forget to tell you when they're completed. So I'm coming back today just with those kind of ordeals that we deal with. And one of the last things I just want to bring up is from July 30th to August 6th, I was able to take a vacation and get some needed family time. I wanted to take this time to, again, thank staff. Thank you guys as the board, because it is important for us to take that time and get away, especially with the things that we deal with here at the district. So again, this district is always in great hands if I'm not around, and it will be when Mike's not around and distribution still has to run. So it's a testament to what we do here. And again, I just want to give the staff and the board of directors credit for that. And last but not least, if she's watching, I hope she is, I want to say happy birthday to Karen Coghill today. Today is her birthday. I don't know what number it is, but I did send her a message. That is my last for the day, that she knows that we were thinking about her. So with that being said, if you guys have anything for me, I'd love to have any questions.
Gentlemen? Anything for the general manager?
I do. With all these hydrants we keep getting whacked on Adobe, is it my imagination or do they seem extremely close to the curb line?
So, yeah, that's a great question, because the design, okay, so we have a standard drawing. And the standard drawing states if you have any kind of gap before the sidewalk, that hydrant should go in that open gap, because you can't get it closer to the property line.
I guess it.
So in our code right now, or the way that reads, is those hydrants are definitely in that planter area where they're supposed to be. You get them on the other side of the sidewalk, you could be encroaching on private property. So you just have to be careful how. Now, there's been times where we've replaced one, and if the sidewalk blew out and we were around a transition for a sidewalk, we would definitely put it behind and use the transition for the sidewalk as why we were moving it. But a lot of times you can't put those hydrants on private property, so we got to be very careful where they end up. And
Yeah, it just seems like we seem to be getting a lot of them clipped on Adobe, and it's a bumper, a fender, somebody turning off or tire clipping them, and it's like, what about putting 4-foot bollards in, concrete?
They do make a break-off check as well. CVWD installs them, I believe. A break-off check would, again, if the hydrant breaks in the right position, the break-off check would swing down and shut your hydrant.
Yeah.
I don't know how successful those are.
Yeah, and I don't know what the cost
But if
versus.
Yeah, if you wanted us to do a cost analysis of 4 bollards on the hydrants up at Adobe, I could definitely put something together.
Yeah, would you?
Yep.
Because I mean, and tall enough to where when it's flooded down there, we can find it without looking at our geospatial stuff like our folks did to find that stupid broken valve.
Well,
Yeah.
remember during that, we also had about 2.5 foot of water berm to berm across.
Oh, I know. I saw the pictures of,
Where I thought the guys were in.
and
a
then somebody
hole.
steals our watch key that's telling us where the damn valve is.
Well, they hit it, they broke it off, yeah,
Oh.
so. But I
Dirt
thought they were,
bags.
I thought they were in a deep hole, and I was telling Mike, get them out of that hole. They weren't. They were on their hands and knees trying to find the valve cover. And so it was a little nerve wracking to us watching from a distance. But
Yeah.
I'll get a cost analysis put
It's just-
together just on putting some bollards in.
Yeah, because maybe some people won't hit them if they see a big, you know, a 6-inch bollard full of concrete right there to the left and the right of it. Yeah.
You know, so it comes out.
Because the fire department, as long as they got access to hook their hoses up, they don't care about bollards. They work for them too. They just can't be in the way of hooking a line up.
From Amway Road to the main gate and on the east, on the west side of Adobe, there's only about, what, a dozen hydrants? Yes?
Yeah, roughly, yeah.
Well, and you
If
can,
put one in on the north side, a big one that's deep, full of concrete, it might.
yeah, and if we look at, you know, our occurrences, it's probably to a certain location regularly, would be my guess. I mean, that one intersection before Himalaya, because that turnout's right there. So when they pull off there and then they come back on the road, that's probably how we got clipped that time.
And it's crazy because if you look at center line of the road, from center line of the road, then you go over to the fast lane, then you have a slow lane, I believe it's 11 feet code. There's probably there's a whole shoulder there that's another.
Yeah, I think the bike path kind of hurt us on
Yeah.
Yeah.
hydrant placement to curbs.
Yeah, the ballast.
Because it's way closer than the fire truck needs. I mean, it is way closer than normal.
We'll do a cost analysis, and even
Yeah.
at that, if it's something that we can just take care of.
Yeah, it might just be one big bollard on the traffic direction side.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
They may just may do it.
People take them out, we'll just replace them.
Well, if it's big enough around and with enough concrete or rebar around it, it's going to cause a lot of damage. And if it's tall enough, it won't be like they can't navigate and go, oh, there's a pole there.
A couple of years ago too, Matt might remember that, the same thing, the guy actually hit the hydrant, right past the hydrant in front of that old car wash. The car was going so fast, it blew through the hydrant, and then the car went all the way up the palm tree, was stuck on the palm tree. And the palm tree didn't even
I
move.
remember seeing that one.
You remember
Yeah.
seeing that? That was
Yeah.
crazy.
Quite a few that were hit off Adobe Road were the DUI cases, hit and runs, where we didn't get replacement back.
Well, they're not running very far if they hit a 6-inch bollard full of concrete.
Yeah, they'll still try to get away though.
Oh, they will, but they'll leave a debris field behind them we can track.
That'd be easier to replace.
And
than
big
a
yellow paint scuff on the side of it.
We found, Matt and I found a couple, hydrant got hit by the high school, hit and run, and we went towards the north side of it, and all of a sudden you see a bumper floating with the license plate.
They left the license plate for us.
I love it.
That was an easy one.
Yeah, I just look at how much water we lose at those events, and that's just,
It's a lot.
you know.
It'd be easier to replace a ballard than it would be a plug. That's for sure. That's a good idea. All right, item number 6, future agenda items and staff tasks, director's comments and reports. Gentlemen?
I got ahead of that, I guess.
All right,
That's right.
Yeah, anything else? I got nothing else.
okay. Do you want to speak about the conference?
Bob and I will be attending next week.
No, the 9th of September.
It's 9/12 September.
10th, 11th, 12th, the annual CSDA conference down in Indian Wells. There's always good classes there for us. I think we get a lot from special district conferences compared to Aqua.
Oh, yeah.
So we did sign up, and we will be down there. I don't know if Cindy Byerman has any classes, but usually it's fun to see Cindy down there in a class or two.
Are we past sign-up deadline?
We are.
Okay.
Yeah. The hotels have filled and
I pulled it out.
sign up, yeah.
Darn it, I should have looked at my package before the meeting last week. I liked that conference when we went
Yeah,
to it.
it's a good conference, yeah.
Anything else, gentlemen? Staff? Okay. Motion to adjourn.
Make a motion?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Adjourn.